You're probably a bit fed up with me describing every new day on Smuggler's Blues as another day in paradise, but honestly, how else can you describe this? Look at this, it's just stunning. River Dart this morning, that's up the river that way. We've got the Royal Naval College over there on the hill, and just beautiful blue skies, calm, wonderful. Breakfast is occurring aboard Smugglers. So we're going to head on around here. This is how she's looking this morning. Smuggler's Blues. And Marianne's chatting with the neighbours. Good morning, Marianne. Ah, breakfast?
Absolutely.
Here we go, this is where we were last night, and breakfast is being served. Clear that one over. Down here. Maggie's already at the table. And it is Rice Krispies this morning. We know how to live. It is life. Where's that now, Maggie? There we go. It is life in the fast lane. We'll catch up with you once we are ready to set sail. So we're just about set to go, but there's something I want to show you first of all. I mentioned we were in a river, but look at the tide going past. I don't know where you can see this. You should be able to see all the debris coming downstream. And that's because the tide is ebbing, it's going out, so all the whole body of water that's in the river is heading out. And that's important to know, because as soon as we're in tidal lines, the boat's going to go with it, it's going to go forward. So we need to be very careful how we plan this. You can see all the weight is being taken by the stern line. These lines here are doing nothing at all, and again, that's because the tide pulling it forward. So that stern line will be the last one to untie, and as soon as we've got that one untied, we've got to be going backwards, because otherwise the whole boat's just going to come into the pontoon. And when we turn around, we need to turn around right over that side, so that as we turn and the tide brings us down, we don't get anywhere near these boats on this side. It's not a problem, it's just something to be aware of when you're manoeuvring, particularly in rivers. Anyway, Marianne looks like she's ready. Let's fire up and head on.
Leave it out, you otherwise.
It's only a matter of time. Okay, right. That's fine, honey. If you check that, bring that one back. I can hold it on the thruster anyway if we need to. So the bow is off.
Okay. The next one?
Yep, spring please. Spring line is off. We're being held now on that stern line. Make sure there's no boats coming as best we can see. Okay, as soon as that stern line is off, we're rolling. Okay, yep. Okay, here we go. Boat's now going forwards. So we're into a stern and we're out. Can you see anything coming, honey?
No.
Okay. What we're going to do is get right back over onto this side before we turn, so that the tide is not going to take us. There we go. See the whole boat swinging away now from where we were, and it's just all nice and under control. We can go into gear now and we're well clear. So these things aren't a problem themselves, provided you allow for them and plan for them. And this is the River Dart. Looking fantastic, and it is so warm today that we've actually left the bimini top up for a bit of shade, which kind of feels quite nice really, that we've reached that point of the year now where we need the bimini, because that feels properly like summer. So our plan for today, we'll have a little poodle up the river and just show you a little bit of the River Dart. We're not going to go too far because the tide's coming out. It's going to be too shallow further up, but we're okay for a couple of miles, certainly. And then we're going to head back out and go and find a cove. Marianne is threatening to go swimming, but we'll see whether she's brave enough once she's got her foot in the water.
You're saying I'm a coward?
No, I'm saying that you might have a sudden burst of sensibility.
I might be a coward. Darthaven Marina. This is Smuggler's Blues 2. Just to let you know that we're clear of the visitor berth C29 that we used last night, and thank you so much for your hospitality. Smugglers out.
Smugglers, thanks very much for letting us know. Have a good trip. Thank you for coming. Darthaven out.
That over there is an old lifeboat. Not a lifeboat anymore. It's been decommissioned and being used privately, but they've kept the original colour scheme, which is nice. This is the fuel berth. These guys are filling up with fuel. And that whistle you might have just heard is the steam train, which you might see in a second going past, because the steam train runs down to Kingsway. It's a really beautiful ride, actually. You guys over there enjoying the boat? Some wonderful boats on the river here. One of the old classics. Talking of which, that's an Avon Sea Rider, which is, I think, the very first rib that was ever created. Back in the 70s, I believe.
What, the little one just there?
Yeah,
you see the dog across her lap?
Yes.
There's a dog in a life jacket.
Yeah, that's the birth of ribs as we know them, I believe. Look at this old classic motorboat here. Steam train getting excited. And look over there, classic Nordhaven. So there's a bit of movement on the river already. It's currently just gone 10:30. We've also got the hire ferry to deal with. That's this fella going across here. Well, I say deal with, in fact he'll be across before the time we get to him. But that's actually running on big sort of like chains or horses, steel horses on the seabed. So they don't steer it, it just runs along those, they're like really heavy duty wires. And it just tracks backwards and forwards. But obviously you have to keep clear, and obviously also don't get too close, because the wires are coming off the back and then back down to the seabed. So you get too close to it, you could hook them up. You wouldn't in a boat like this, but in a deep keel boat, perhaps like a yacht, it's possible. You might just be able to see them actually coming off the back, just above that boat now. You just see the wires coming off the back. Now for a little while we were locking down, I was doing waterside house tours, and I did that one over there called Quirky. It's one of the most beautiful houses I've ever been in. It's just stunning. Have a look for that, it's on the channel. Yeah, well worth seeing. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous house. I think if you put River Dart house tour, you'll probably find it. And over here comes the steam train. That's like a step back in time. This is Nos Marina, and it was taken over by Premier Marinas a few years ago, and they're doing some big upgrades here. I think this is going to be a nice marina when they finished it. They're completely changing the design of it, and it's about time, because it used to have boats side by side, so you'd have just one long run of pontoons and then two boats and two boats and two boats, which meant you were either on the inside having to fight around the boat on the outside to get out, or you're on the outside having to clamber over the boat on the inside to reach your boat. But as I say, they're rejigging this. I think this will be a nice marina when they finished. It's already looking a load better. All this is new in here with proper finger pontoons, so yeah, it'd be nice to see what they do with that. Now, this is a completely different design to last time I came past it. So as I say, it was just two really long pontoons with double boats either side of it. Now it's all these finger pontoons, loads better. They've done a great job on this. Fantastic. That boat there
That one is a Princess 435 from about 1990. People ask what happens to old boats. Well, they just keep going. I mean, that still looks great, doesn't it? And that's still be doing good service to somebody. 30 years old, over 30 years old. I think that model came out in about 1988. And it still looks good, I think. And there's a modern Princess in there. It's a Princess 43, and we've got a Fleming on the outside, which of course are a lovely boat. And a couple more Princesses up here. There's a V48 in there, but the old style one, not the current model. And this, I think, is a V65. Either a V60 or a V65. I may yet be proved wrong. No, an S60 or an S65, because it has the flybridge. The V series don't have a flybridge. Can you see what it is yet? Yeah, S65. Nice boat. And the sea line just ahead of it. Everyone's out on the boats having a great time. This is what it's all about. Now we are doing about 1.1 RPM, well 1100 to be precise, and that's giving us, whether you can see it, 4.8 knots on there. And the reason that I mention that is I'll show you on the way back down. We'll do exactly the same engine speed and you'll see a difference in speed, because currently we're pushing against the tide. When we're coming back down, of course, we'll be going with the tide. So it's like being on an escalator going against the flow or with the flow. It makes quite a big difference. There's probably a knot or two of tide here, I would think. You can see the tide there pushing around that buoy. It looks like that buoy is heading upstream, but it's actually stationary. It's the water that's going around it, not it going through the water. There's a fair bit of tide up through here. But isn't this beautiful? What an incredible place. Incredible house over here. They've actually got a pontoon to tie their boat up, and also, you can't quite see it from here, but on the other side there's a boat lift, so they can bring a boat in and lift it clear of the water, because at low water that's all mud. But it's an amazing place. There you go, you can just see the boat lifting on that side of it now. Remarkable. It is another 1990s Princess. I think it's a 330, might be a 315, but that's what Princess were building back in the late 80s and early 90s. And they're actually a really good boat. Yeah, it's a 330. So 4 berths and 2 cabins, and then a saloon that converts to another 2, so you can sleep 6. Nice flybridge boat. And still a really great boat. This is a real step back in time, isn't it? This boathouse here belongs to a mansion. You can't quite see it, it's up in the trees, that was owned by Agatha Christie, the author. You might just catch a glimpse of it. You can see it in winter because there's less leaves on the tree, but in the summer it's fairly well hidden. But we might see a corner possibly. Now there's an amazing thing here where the water sweeps around this corner and it swirls, and it's dug out the riverbed, and in fact it is, you can see it just here, it's about 24 meters deep. It's deeper here than it is in the middle of Torbay when you're about 3 miles out at sea. It's quite incredible. I don't know whether you can see it, but the house is just appearing in that little gap up there. As I say, you won't see much of it today. this is Ditsom. It's actually spelled Dittisham, but it's pronounced Ditsom by the locals. Over here on this side, Greenway Quay is around here. You can see how the tide, when the water comes up at high water, you can see how it sort of cuts off the bottom of the trees. That's the high water mark. And this is about as far as we're going to go today. In fact, this river is about 10 miles long. We're probably about 3 miles up it here. And one day we'll do a proper river tour right up to Totnes, which is as high as you can go when it's high water. And it's a beautiful, beautiful trip. Further up, it's just incredible. So we'll do that sometime. But for today, we're going to spin the boat around, head back down river, and then we're going to go and find a nice cove. I think Greg and Sally might be coming over as well. And we're just going to chill out somewhere nice and relaxed. But this is Greenway Quay over here. And the river curls on round. I say it disappears up probably about another 5 or 6 miles from here, I would think. It's proper step back in time stuff, isn't it? Absolutely incredible. And the river goes up here and then around that corner and disappears up towards Totnes. But we're going to spin around, go back down. Okay, here we go. It's stunning, isn't it? Absolutely stunning. Okay, here we go, exactly the same, 1,100 RPM, and we've now got 7 knots across the ground. So we've added a good couple of knots to our speed. In fact, I'm going to have to throttle back slightly because we're a touch over the limit. Not that anybody would mind particularly, but we'll draw it, ease it back a little bit. There we go. We're in no rush. Now this little truck coming up here with the yellow top, that's a hire boat. You can hire those in Dartmouth just for the morning or the afternoon or perhaps a day for not a lot of money. You can be doing this. There's no excuse, people. Get yourself down here and do it, because you'll be having exactly the same experience where I have. Beautiful scenery, beautiful weather, an amazing time.
And this is home for the rest of the day. I think this will do, won't it?
I think so. It's a bit shabby, but it's fine.
Superb.